Okay. Next up.
How's everybody feeling so far? Yeah. I'm so inspired. I'm so stoked to be here. It's truly been a pleasure. I began this work when I was 6 years old. So for the last 13 years, seeing kind of the evolution of this space and of this conversation has been just absolutely eye-opening. And I'm really, really inspired to be introducing the next innovators that are going to come and share in a really beautiful way. As I mentioned in the beginning, one of the main ways that I tap in and I do my work with the world and connecting and inspiring and engaging is through art, is through music. I truly believe in the power that, and have seen the power that these mediums have to really connect and build bridges and really break down barriers in our culture. I think this is so much more than just a shift of energy or a shift of technology, but really a shift of culture and of human hearts and human minds. And I think this next project is a really powerful example of how that is being implemented and shared, and those stories are being uplifted across the board, especially when it comes to tapping in with young people and with youth that really need to be at the forefront of this conversation for them to really realize that these young people aren't just activists, but they have, you know, roots in art and creativity and music, that all these different spaces for the acceleration of that work is absolutely critical. And so I've just been talking to our next innovator named Reekelitsoe Molapo from Conservation Music in Lesotho, and she's based in Lesotho. And we were chopping it up just outside previously, walking over here, learning about the work that Conservation Music is doing of empowering local communities across the globe and a lot in Africa on everything from language preservation through the art of sharing and storytelling and music, looking at inspiring and empowering the young members of the community through music to engage in the most important issues of our time on education and environment. And so would everybody please join me in giving a round of applause to Rex from Conservation
come on
Music.
Up. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello everyone, my name is Reekelitsoe Molapo. I'm Africa Director of Conservation Music, and what you see here is a music video that we did in Zambia that was a great hit. So we cannot deny the fact that environmental breakdown is already starting to affect people at the moment as we speak. And the very fact that the same people who are on the front lines of this environmental breakdown lack enough information on how to mitigate or even adapt to these issues. And I know from personal experience the power of music as an educational tool, but unfortunately it's not being used to its full potential. So how do we solve this? We solve this by enlisting global artists and activating youth to work on their local issues in their local communities. We have people working on the ground in local communities to localize SDGs. And lastly, we create music in local languages and genres that the communities we're working with can most relate to, and making sure that the environmental issues that we're advocating for are best heard. So we do this in various ways. We do this through public media. We do this through events, hosting eco-concerts and musical workshops. We also do this through solar cinemas, going out to schools and different communities and screening environmental education information. We are working on an app and going to put that app on the tablets. And then we're also advocating, we're also engaging decision makers and politicians to ensure that these issues are paid attention to. And lastly, we're building this big global network of youth volunteers and musicians to advocate for environmental education. So our progress so far, we have worked with 113 performers and sorry about that. We are working with 113 performers together with 102 volunteers to produce 24 productions. And we have learned that there's a 77% learning ratio from the pre-service that we've done and the post-service that we've done with the communities that we're working with. And we've engaged about 10,000 plus people directly on the ground on the African continent. So this is an example of the countries that we're working in, and we are setting up local chapters in. So we would like to invite you to join our musical revolution, to join the movement in order for us to continue doing the work that we're doing, in order for us to scale. to continue doing educational media production, to continue creating curriculums for the app development, and having help with tablet distributions, and capacitating the volunteers that we're working with on the ground. And lastly, we would like to pay the volunteers that we're working with on the ground. So we're looking for collaborators, partners, and people who can assist us with funding. If you'd like to engage with us more, you can go onto these media pages and also find me on my email address. Thank you so much.
Woo. Incredible, incredible, right? Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you, Rex.
I'm so inspired. We're going to bring up the next group of accelerators to come in, instigate some questions, some feedback, some ideas. So please come on up and join us.
Welcome.
Cheers.
Welcome.
Make some noise for our accelerators.
So
Who would like to begin?
Again, it takes a network to accelerate. This is a network solution, right? We're going to use music, communities, genius, community organizing with music. Thank you. Okay, so how do we accelerate? What ideas, resources, funding, things can you share?
No, Rex, so I'm super pumped
say who you
about
are.
this. My name's Monica King, founder and CEO of Innovators Box. And as someone who works in creativity, this is such a powerful way to empower across. So curious to know, because you already have a lot of people you're working with, are there particular partners that you're looking to build more relationships, different maybe communities, ways that you can continue to grow? Because this message and the type of approach you're doing is so unique. How can partners help you scale to get to that next level?
Thank you so much, Monica, for that question. We are looking for partners in the development space. We're looking for international development partners. Your UN agencies can assist us to grow the impact that we have on the continent. We want to engage more communities. We want to go out to more schools. We want to partner with environmental NGOs in the different countries that we're already already have a presence in. And we want to even go into the other parts of the continent. We want to work in Asia. We want to work in South America. We don't want to just end on the African continent. So we would like people who can be able to connect us in those areas, who can be able to say we have communities that you can work with here. And as it is at the moment, we were talking with one of the solution makers who's excited about this, who's like, come to Colombia. We know we already have a group of people we're working with that you can that we can collaborate and work together on ensuring that environmental education gets out there, but in this creative way. So we're looking for people who can assist us like that. Yes.
Terrific. Yeah, Science Clubs Colombia will be up tomorrow, and they're such a good partner already there. Who's Susan? All right, okay.
So Rex, actually, two things that I learned from working with you over the weekends that weren't in there. One was that the song that we got to hear is like super popular in Zambia, and kids were singing it in villages when you would go visit them. So I want to hear a little bit more about that. But also, I want to hear more about your story, because one thing that we learned is that music is a motivator for so many of us. But for you, that's actually what brought you into this work. So I'd love to hear that. And for those who don't remember, if you have memories like mine, I'm Amrit Deer from Google for Startups.
Thank you. So starting with the question of my story. A few years ago, I was involved in the music industry, but I left it because the industry culture was not in line with my personal values. And then years later, I met the conservation music team doing this great work. I said, this is amazing. I love what you guys are doing. And I felt the urge to actually get back to the music industry, but this time around, freeing my voice for social change. And that's how I got back into working in the music space. But this time, like for social change. So yes, that's how I got to start working back in the music industry. And then what you said about the communities that we go into, how the song was a hit, the Zambian hit. It was playing every day after the news on television, as we were told by our teammates who are based in Zambia. And yes, like when we went out into the communities, the children were excited when they saw the conservation music team. They were singing, say, Samalilani. So they were excited. And it shows how music can stay on and linger on, even when you're gone. And when you come back, people remember you and remember the messages that you were spreading through the music that you're using. So yes.
Terrific. Susan. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Hi, everyone. Susan Alsner, currently with Shift 7, one of the co-founders of UN Solution Summit. And I worked at the UN for 8 years, and I started my career as a photographer in the music industry. And when I first came to the UN, a lot of people literally said out loud to me, how did you get this job? And And so what I discovered was that my time in the music industry was the most relevant work I had done for my work at the UN, and it had to do with storytelling, and it had to do with communication, and it had to do with the power of art and creativity and reinvention. And so a suggestion I have for you, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about this, is how to link what you're doing. I think you could really link what you're doing, as Chutescott is, with youth leadership training, to really be engaging in a multiplicity of ways, from music into the political sphere even, to really kind of shake up what the dialogue is like inside institutions.
Exactly. I totally agree with you. I think it's important for us to use creative and innovative approaches to tackling the environmental issues that we currently have, and generally even the world problems that we're dealing with today, because music has that power to actually reach to people's emotions, and it has that power to inspire people to take action, which is what we've also seen from our work, because we don't just go there and perform, but we also measure the impact to say, okay, where were you before we started? Now, where are you after we've engaged with you? So I think it's a powerful tool to use, and people are tired of sitting in workshops where things are done conventionally and someone is standing in front of you and telling you this, that, but they want engaging ways and finding solutions in a collaborative way, where you're engaging them to say, what do you think about this? How do we solve this? And then creating the song together in their local language that speaks to their heart. So that's really powerful. I think it's a powerful medium to use for education.
Amazing. I just had one more thing. Working the last 2 years much more heavily in the music industry as an artist, partnering, collaborating with a variety of some of the really just incredible artists that are thinking very much so in the direction of how can we use our platforms to elevate, to create change, to build impact. And I think we can also feel that very much so in the global sphere of music. Some of the biggest stars in the music industry are leveraging their platform to talk about social issues. Whether it's like Billie Eilish's last video that had like 50 million views in the first couple of days, and she was shouting out the climate strikes that were happening worldwide, and she was shouting out climate action and the importance of actually this convergence at the United Nations to, Lil Dicky's video, like Earth, and so artists are kind of on the tip of understanding that as cultural figures, they have a significant role to influence further than just creating entertainment. And I guess my question to you would be like, what would be your call to action for them to help leverage the work that you're doing, or to help further the work that they're doing to use their platform for something more meaningful than just being a part of this industry?
I think I would like them to also start collaborating with local artists, because that's really important. When people see familiar faces, yes, there's this global artists that they all know, but also working with local artists helps a lot. And the very point that I made, that I think it's important that they also engage with people in their local languages, such that people are able to understand these issues much more on a deeper level. It's not just an abstract thing, but they localize it. So I think artists, global artists and famous artists need to start engaging the grassroots communities in creating this change, and not just addressing the problem at the macro level, but they need to go deeper, go down there and engage with the communities. So that's how I would like them to engage.
So it's like, yes, and so join in conservation music. I was a child in Buffalo, New York, Niagara Falls region, and when we were young, the Great Lakes were in horrible shape. And the communities work together to really, and it's really quite different. It's getting better, so it's hopeful. And I wish we had conservation music and the music with it, because it would have brought that whole element of creating engagement. So it's very incredible and ingenious solution. Thank you, everybody. We're going to go to the next one. Go Rex, go team. Join these guys. Conservation music.